Hey Aquarius, this is your look at the astrology of March 2019. My name is Katie Sweetman. I'm with Empowering Astrology, so let's take a look at this month. I think first let's start looking at things from a broader perspective. So, one, in February, you had a lot of planets in Aquarius. It's like you had a lot going on. At one point, we had 6 planets in Aquarius around that Aquarius full moon in February. But this month, March of 2021, the planets are starting to shift away from Aquarius. They're sort of going in different areas. And so the narrative is changing. But first, you have to keep in mind that all year long, Saturn, your planet, is not only in Aquarius, so it's time for new beginnings, taking the next big step up in your life, getting your proverbial house in order, but Saturn is square Uranus. You're getting a lot of pressure this year to make some changes. These are changes that sort of tell you that you have to be you 100%. You cannot hold back. You cannot try to fit yourself into a life that's not yours because you have Uranus trying to push you to make some bigger structural changes in your life this year. So there's that. Starting in March, Mars will change signs. It's left Taurus, which is your sign of home and family. Kind of probably means that your home environment was a bit busy the first 2 months of the year. March 3rd, Mars goes into Gemini, which is Aquarius' sign of self-expression, creativity, fun, play. And maybe Aquarius, you could use some fun and play after maybe the last 2 months you've had. It typically is a little bit more of a light-hearted time, but I think that this sort of is pushing you to express who you are, to make time for creativity, to get motivated, to play. Maybe there's a focus on children at this time. But I think at the heart of any time a planet spends a longer frame of time in this part of your chart, I think you have to get to the core of who you are. And maybe with so much going on, it's easy to kind of lose you a little bit and to forget exactly who you are. So that's what Mars is doing for the next 6 weeks into April. But it's Pisces season, and you have a Pisces New Moon on March 13th in what's called your money sign. Pisces is your money sign. So Pisces season, yes, going into the beginning of March, it's Pisces season, but it's not until the 13th, sort of towards the end of Pisces season, that we have the Pisces New Moon. New moons are new beginnings. They open up a new chapter. Yes, we have these 4-week long Pisces season, or fill in the blank season, but when you have that new moon, it sort of is a reset for the sign. It's a reset for the season. It's a time when the lens is on that sign. So on the 13th, now it's really truly time to turn over a new leaf with your material life, with the money you make, with needing to look at your bank accounts, needing to gather the resources that you need. This is intrinsically a time that gets back to value. What do you value? Are you earning a living in the way that truly matches your values? Pisces is a very spiritual sign. It says that sort of your professional life or how you earn a living, it can't just be for the money. You have to have some heart in it. There has to be some altruism. It has to sort of feel like it's doing something in this world. And sometimes when that doesn't happen, you Aquarius might feel that something's not quite right. So this new moon is a time to kind of get back, reset to what you truly need. Jupiter, the ruler of the new moon, is in Aquarius. Jupiter, for the most part, is spending the year, minus maybe like 3-4 months, in Aquarius. So this is, again, getting back to you, how you earn a living, the money that you make, the things that you value, the things that you need materially. How do you go back to sort of yourself and like getting clear about what you need? And Jupiter's a little close to Saturn in the sky. It's a little wide, but I think we still have to honor the fact that Saturn is setting a lot of boundaries right now and saying yes to the things that you need to say yes to and no to the things that you need to say no to. So this might mean saying yes and no to things in your material life, and maybe to, what Saturn wants you to do is get very clear about what you need, clearing out what you don't need, and really knowing exactly your value and your worth. When we move forward a couple days later, we have Mercury finally leaving Aquarius. It's spent since January 30th in Aquarius because it had a retrograde in February. So when it goes into Pisces, your money sign, it's a time again to look back at these deeper themes around value and worth, material stability. Mercury is about choice, sort of the duality of life. But it's also about communication. So maybe you're needing to kind of communicate your material needs as you go further into March. But as we get to March 20th, that's when the sun goes into Aries. And speaking of communication, Aries is your sign of communication, voice, ideas, information, and learning. So when the sun goes into Aries, it's a couple of things. One is the start of a new astrological year. Aries is the first sign. Pisces is the last sign. So it's a time of new beginnings. Astrology is very Northern Hemisphere biased, so apologies to those in the Southern Hemisphere, but it's about spring, renewal, new shoots, fresh shoots of life. And Aries wants to sort of take action, take charge. So you may have a lot to say. As you go into the end of March, you might feel restless. You got to move. You got to talk. You got to take classes. You got to learn. You got to read. You got to be on your phone all the time. There might be this heightened sense of restlessness as you go into the end of March. With Mars, the ruler of Aries, over in Gemini, you're going to feel this even more. Now, for those of you who are an Aquarius and you are a writer or you do anything creative, this period, the last week or so of March going into actually April, might be very creative, very prolific. Maybe if you're a writer, you're writing a lot, or if you create something, suddenly you've got a lot of ideas. So how are you going to put them into reality? Maybe you're just sort of spitballing a lot and sort of gathering a lot of ideas. But this is a time to kind of get clearer about what you have to say. Aries is also your travel sign, and I realize we can't do a lot of traveling these days, but in case that you need to kind of move and explore in other ways, or maybe you're having to regardless run around town, do errands, go do some road trips for whatever reason, this is your time in your astrology chart to do so. Venus also will change signs and move into Aries come the next day, March 21st. Venus is your sign of home and family, so you might be hearing from family members. You might be having a lot of back and forth with your family members, communication, texts, phone calls. Does anybody make phone calls anymore? And maybe you're having to kind of do a lot of visiting and connecting with loved ones. And even if it's not actual physical family members, certainly these can be the people who are like family, because you are in a bigger period of time, Aquarius, where the notion of home and family is in the midst of a very radical remake in your life, because Uranus will be in Taurus for the next 5 years. That's another story for another time. As we get to the end of the month, we're going to have a full moon in Libra. So for you, Aquarius, Libra is your sign of higher education, philosophy, faith, truth, meaning, convictions. What do you stand for? How do you see yourself in the world, and how do you see the world? Does it need to shift? Does it need to change? This full moons in general actually sort of demand attention. They demand that we make some decisions, we see things for what they really are, and from there we sort of make a left or a right or up or a down as we need to do. So this full moon might be saying it's time to go back to school, or this full moon might say that we need to get new ideas, new information, new perspectives, or we need to stand up for our convictions and what we believe in. It's a very philosophical full moon. Maybe you're looking out into the world and kind of exploring different cultures, different ways of doing things. This is also the part of the chart would normally talk about long distance travel abroad. I've realized we can't do these things right now, so maybe you're having to do it in another way. But Libra and Aries are your signs of Also publishing. So if you're a writer, or if you are in broadcast, or you're trying to get your ideas out there, this full moon is very much a part of that dynamic, with Venus over in Aries making something called a conjunction to Chiron. This full moon is going to highlight a pain point. There's this deeper story that you're working through over the next few years, and this has been the last couple of years, where you have to really find the courage to express your voice, your ideas, share your thoughts, maybe even believe in your intelligence, or that you know enough. So this full moon might highlight and maybe even press upon that pain point. So if you're sort of looking out there in the world and standing up for what you believe in, or sharing your faith, or sharing your convictions, you might be feeling that emotion come up, like, am I safe to talk about what I believe in? Am I safe to put my ideas, or my information, or my knowledge out there? Something to keep in mind if you're navigating some deeper emotions as you get to the end of this month. But there you go, Aquarius. It's a big time. You got a lot going on in your life right now. Sort of the bigger astrology, don't forget, is that it's time for you to make a lot of personal changes, and to be the person that you are meant to be, and not the person that maybe somebody else, or family, or community, or whomever want you to be. So there you go. That's your astrology for March 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman. I'm an astrologer and psychic medium here in Brooklyn, New York. You can follow me online at Empowering Astrology. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I hope to see you all next month. Have a wonderful March. Take care. Bye.